Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's the Sober Wednesday, Sober Wednesday special edition on a Thursday night. Sober Wednesday special edition on Thursday night. Whoa, this is the Illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. It's Thursday night here. Back to back, dude. There you go. Back to back. So we are here for a belated Sober Wednesday. I fully spaced last night, and I had some people saying they'd be stoked to get it done. So I was like, I'll do it Thursday night. So we're doing Sober Wednesday on Thursday night. How do you like that? How do you like them apples, dude? Because it's just Sober Wednesday. It can be Sober Wednesday whenever you want it to be. It's a state of mind. It's a place you inhabit with your spiritual self. Good. Well, so Bruno, stoked you're here. And I guess we should wait for a couple people to file in before we get into this game here on Sober Wednesday. On the Sober Wednesday. So that's what we're doing. Anyway, I should just get down to it, dude. For those who came, they came. For those who didn't, they didn't. And so this stream is dedicated to people who are struggling spiritually. There is it's 1 hour dedicated to the alcoholic, the drug addict, the overeater, the gambler, the lunatic, the whatever it may be, who struggles to stay tuned into the now, who's struggling spiritually. We live in an interesting time, and a lot of people are suffering out there. A lot of people are stuck at home, financially stressed about all sorts of crazy stuff that's going on out there. So we do Sober Wednesday to use the basic 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous to find a spiritual solution. And that's what we're doing. So I ultimately need a moderator here, but this is a stream dedicated to people who suffer. This isn't there's Lily and James Jameson. So this stream's dedicated to those who suffer or are looking for a spiritual solution. You don't need to be a drug addict or an alcoholic to hang out here for the hour, but I do ask that you provide the space for those who are seeking a solution for the next hour. You can come and troll and give me a hard time on any other stream and I'll get fired up, but this stream isn't for me. This is for somebody who's out there on spaceship Earth who may be struggling and may be on the brink of suicide and the seriousness of life. Like I lost my good friend Mike last week to suicide. He didn't want to reach out for help, so this is what this is for. And so with that said, I usually open this up with the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Amen. So, and then I go to page 56, page 50, was it 58? 58 from the big books of Alcoholics Anonymous. For those who don't suffer from alcoholism, this is a spiritual thing. This really isn't specific to being an alcoholic. I wish the screen would stop flashing. That's bothering me. Maybe I need to sit back a little or something. This isn't for those. This is for anybody. So replace alcohol with Oreo cookies, sex, gambling, whatever your thing is that's blocking you from truly achieving your spiritual peace. It's all the same, dude. Realistically, they all affect us differently, like on the physical level, but if you're being blocked from God, this is a path forward. So with that said, how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we're like now. If you've decided what you want, what we have, and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. At some of these, we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be thorough and fearless from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here, the steps we took are suggested as a program of recovery. One, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Three, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Four, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Five, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Six, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Seven, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Eight, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Nine, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all of our affairs. Many have exclaimed, "What an order!" I can't go through with it. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we're willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. C, that God could and would if he were sought. And there you have it. The basic program to gaining some sort of spiritual clarity. May you find him now. May you find him now. So again, this is geared to anyone who is struggling to have a clear and bountiful and beneficial relationship with the God of their understanding. And, to many people, God is a super vague thing. And maybe it's just some thing that people talk about. So, you're just looking for a crack to let the sunlight of the Spirit in, And so this isn't about preaching. This isn't about anything. This is about understanding that it's okay to be lost. It's okay not to know what's going on. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to actually be totally out of your mind. It's 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 okay to be drunk right now. It's okay to be wedging Oreo cookies right now or sleeping with someone that you despise or whatever it is, dude. It's all about just realizing that that's not how you want to live your life, dude. That there's something missing and there's something better for you. It's not about knowing what that is. Like again, I've owed a Topanga story for quite some time to Anthony, so it's a good place to jump off. I haven't been back up to Topanga Canyon and really since I got sober. And the end of my drinking, using pretty much was in Topanga. And so Topanga has a special place in my heart because it is the bottom of the pit to hell for me. That is where I finally found the bottom. You find the bottom, and it can be the bottom. The bottom can be anywhere you need it to be. Realistically, it's just about when you finally said you had enough. So I was living in Topanga, up in this dark house with my friend, some other people, a couple Rottweilers, a bunch of marijuana plants, a bunch of booze, a bunch of THC butter, and a real dim future. And I was 39 years old, 39, 38, 39. The game was over. And it was 2008 into 2009. So it was 2009 was when I was really there, leading up to my sobriety. And it was broken, dude. The whole thing was broken. My bro I was living with was literally broken. He'd been in a motorcycle wreck. The house we were living in that he owned was literally like broken. Just rats and broken pipes and, just spider webs and just dark, grim Topanganess. And I was broken. I was all out of options. I had a car. I still had my truck. I wasn't motivated for anything. I didn't really want anything. I just really wanted to be left alone. And I think I just wanted to basically not have to participate anymore at all. So I was living in this grow room, dude, like the drying room. Like my buddy was like, you can live here. You don't even have to pay rent. I seem to always find those crazy deals. So I didn't have to pay any rent. I was living in the dry room, where all the pot plants were hanging from the ceiling. There was a bunk bed in there. So I had a bunk bed and there's living in a drying room, dude. And there were bags of weed. And it was like, my bro was he was like the worst pot farmer you've ever met. He just couldn't get it right. I think the weed was moldy. There was something wrong with it, dude. It was just, they couldn't sell it. So there was just bags full of weed, man. We were cooking it and everything, just cooking weed all day long and making butter, dude, making butter. And my buddy was a big Jack Daniels drinker, dude. And he would always bring home the booze. And I remember there was always a crock pot of some sort of stew brewing. He fed me, he kept it going on. And so I'm in this room and all I could do was make, so if my YouTube thing, I make picture frames, or I used to make picture frames out of old wood. That's all I used to do was just make picture frames, not with the glass, not with the backing, just the squares. I used to just make picture frames all day long, like some sort of like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, dude. Just instead of a typewriter, I made these picture frames. I would get the saws out and I would just make picture frames and glue them together and like stack them in the corner. And that's about all I could manage to do. So I was busy drinking, drugging, and doing some blow every now and then, and smoke, like just perma stoned. Listening to Fox News. I used to have the Fox News on. That's why I don't like television or any of the I used to just have it on in the background. And I think the financial crisis, Obama had just been elected, the housing market meltdown was going on, dude. It was like the end of the world, dude. It pretty much was, dude. And I remember at the time I got this job, I was drywalling this house up in Oxnard. Like this giant, this 3-story house with this like slanted ceiling, dude, with all the scaffolding and stuff. And somehow I'd gotten roped into, and I'm not a drywaller, dude, by any stretch of the imagination. So I got this lady wanted me to like mud it and tape it. Dude, the drywall was already hung and I didn't know what I was doing. I was there by myself and I hired this other drunk friend of mine. And we mission up there, dude, and get our hours, dude. And I'm like 3 weeks in, I remember he quit in the middle of it. And I was just left up in this house by myself trying to drywall mud this lid, dude. And just being so just defeated, just like, oh my God, but trying to pull it off, just like, all right, I'm gonna pull this off. And then I remember the lady was like, I'm gonna hire you some help. So she hired these like 3 like legitimate like Mexican dudes, like that are real mudders, like real drywall dudes. And I remember them just like looking at just how like in over my head I was. I remember these dudes being like, oh, leave this guy alone. He's in way over his head. And I remember at a certain point just being like, these guys, once I knew they were like, they had it, I just like quit. I was like, I'm out, dude. Like these guys, because I wasn't going to like leave this lady hanging. I'd finish the job, I'll finish the job. But once I realized there was going to be help, like these other dudes had it covered, dude. Like I was like, well, I'm out, dude. So that from that point on, I had like another 4 months of just like poverty living up in this place. That was right around the new year. That was in January that year. So I had like another while, and I was just. By then, my buddy was cutting me off from the like good booze, and I was just drinking all this pink champagne, going down to the local place, getting drunk. I remember this. So I had this old friend who was bartending. I knew her back from Pennsylvania. She was out living in Topanga bartending, and she was super mad at me at the time, dude. Like, so I was out of my tree. I remember her like rousting me at like the bar one night. She was the bartender, and my buddy, I'm not going to name him. My buddy's like, nah, Hamish is solid. And she looks at him and she goes, he's solid like Jello, dude. And that's the best line I have ever heard to describe what I was at the time. I was solid. I'd show up and do whatever, but I was solid like Jello. I was useless, dude. Useless to resist. And yeah, man. I really didn't think there was ever going to be a way out of it, but I didn't ever think, it was one of those things. You know how it's like that thing is like, you're too afraid to live and too afraid to die type of thing. So it's just easier to sit and drink cases of pink champagne and smoke weed and listen to Fox News and sleep all day and just get up and make a couple frames. That's pretty much what I do. So I'd sleep all day and night, and then I'd get up and I would cut on the saws for like 2 hours, 3 hours, making picture frames. And then I would start drinking again and just try to drink myself to sleep with this pink champagne. And my buddy at some point was like, I've probably told it, I'm sure I've told this story before, but I guess it's really what it is, I was talking last week about my buddy who killed himself, and I definitely had that kind of despair. And I used to think about it a lot, man. But my whole trip was, I don't know how to do it and guarantee it. Like, I used to fully think about the tailpipe a lot. Like, well, rig up the rig with the tailpipe. But I remember, like, my big thing was, like, I never had any gas in my tank because I lived way up in this canyon. And then I was like, I just came with all these scenarios, and I was like, dude, I don't know if it'll work, right? So I was just sitting there biding my time, dude, trying to. I wasn't hoping for a miracle. Like I can take myself there. I wasn't hoping to get sober. I wasn't hoping to be saved. I wasn't hoping for anything, dude. I was just like, let the clock run out, man. I don't know if people know that kind of despair, dude, but I don't even think I had despair. I think I was so just disconnected. It was just like, whatever. And eventually my buddy came in, and like, it must have been like April, May. It had to have been May. Because it's not so May, my buddy comes in and is like, dude, you need to and this dude was like a real drinker, like partier guy. He was like a wannabe Hell's Angels guy, biker, dude. He's a full biker with like missing teeth and tattoos and one of those dudes, man. He's my buddy. I love this guy. This guy looked out for me, dude. I love you, dude. If you're out there and you're listening to this, man, you know who you are. And he's like, dude, you gotta pull it together, dude. Like, you need some help. And I remember being like, nah, dude, kick rocks, dude. I don't need any help. Like, so that's how. So what I just described, right? I looked this dude dead in the eye and like, I don't need any help, dude. Screw you. You're crazy. You're crazy. Not me, dude. I'm fine. And I started living at the old abandoned swimming pool again. So I went from there and I went up to the top of the hill and was staying at the abandoned swimming pool on top of the world and had the key to the gate. And I knew the property owner. And so I was all good up there, dude. Like, no one was bugging me, man. And I just remember just the real horror of it all settling in, dude. Now I'm like, because I could see the most, you have to understand, like where I'd sequestered myself is probably one of the most beautiful places in the Santa Monica Mountains. Like, if you want to see a view, I had a 360-degree wraparound view with this rad swimming pool to skate, and like pros would seek me out to come skate this pool. So I had like this by day, like I was working doing carpentry. By evening, I was having pro skating with like Lance Mountain and all these pro skaters and stuff. And by dark, I was up there alone, just like, F the world, dude. And I'd wake up every day pissed, like, this sucks, dude. And yeah, that went on for like a couple months. And then I remember clearly one night getting on my knees and straight up just begging God for help. And I want to be clear, like, I wasn't begging God for help, like, oh, help me out of this. I was just like, help me, dude. Just help. Just help. This sucks. Like, help me, God. There's a God. Just help me somehow. And I wasn't asking for a second chance. I didn't put any conditions on it. It was just straight like desperate dude calling out to God, like, help me, dude. And 3 days later is when I run into Joe and Dave down at the liquor store. And it's funny, my buddy I mountain bike with he had visited me. That's the first time I met him. He came up to skate the pool one day. I remember sitting with him and his buddy and telling him, don't end up like me, dude. Don't end up like me. Because he thought it was kind of cool what I was doing up there. I was like living at this abandoned pool, skating and, rah. And I was like, dude, this sucks, bro. Just so you know, this blows. And it's funny. I hung out with that dude today. Dude. We're like, he's my buddy that's made it through the coof, dude. That's still like legit, dude. The real deal. And it's funny how you people are your tribe, man. And so so I called out to God, and then God sent his two messengers, dude, 2 sober members of Alcoholics Anonymous in a gray Jeep Cherokee or something, parked crooked. They parked crooked in front of a liquor store. And I proceeded to give them a hard time and hassle them about not parking properly. And I confronted the one dude, and you guys kind of know the rest. I asked this dude for help out of the blue. Like somehow in my drunkenness, I saw God in this dude's eyes. Saw God in Joe's eyes, dude. And these 2 dudes stopped everything and took me in and put no conditions on helping me. And gave me this, dude. Gave me this cheesy book, dude. And we're like, dude, if you read this book and you do what it says as suggested, and you hang out with us and you go to these horrible meetings and get some like dumb jobs at these meetings, your life will get better. And I was like, all right, sure, pal. Whatever. Okay. I was more enthusiastic about it than that, but well, here we are. Here we are, dude. Here we are, man. 11 years later, dude. I did 11 years later. So if you get the image of what I just gave you, right? Same time of year, right? About April, about same time of year. Same time of year, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. I'm sitting there drinking pink champagne, miserable, making these picture frames. Here I am, 11 years of sobriety later. I got up today. I had breakfast with Owl and hung out with my wife, got him ready for school, packed him a lunch, made him a peanut butter and honey sandwich, and got him all stoked and fired up. I drove him to school. We talked. We listened to Radiohead on the way over to school. Dropped him off, laughed with his teacher for a little bit about, because she's one of us. His one teacher's one of us. And Al was like not complying. And she's like, yeah, there he is. Al's never going to comply. I go, not my boy. And she starts laughing, dude. And he gives me a big hug and rolls into school. And I went down I went to the beach, went to my spot at the beach, Tower 4. There was my buddy. That a long time ago when he was he was 18 when I met him, dude, skating this pool. We hung out and talked for about an hour this morning at the beach about how we're still free, dude. How free we are, dude, that we just won't comply to everybody's nonsense. I drove home. I watered my garden, dude. I'm growing in the backyard here. I hung out with my wife. I chilled. I did a live stream where I got all fired up about science and stuff. And I got ready. I went and I mailed my packages that people bought my hats and shirts and mailed those to wherever USA. then I went and picked up my son from school, and he gave me a hug and was super stoked and talked to me about his day. I watched him laughing, playing with his buddies. I got home. I got to do an interview with, I forget their name, this podcast. These 4 cool young people interviewed me for an hour, dude, and wanted to know what I had to say about life, dude. Just want to know, get my opinion, ask me a bunch of questions about whatever it is that my take on it all. I got off that. I hung out. I went and we ate out of the garden. We went and weeding. Me and Al cleaned up, played. We had dinner. Dude, like, all from reading this book. I know it. If you don't know what I'm saying, is like, if you show up and do the work, man, miracles happen. And a lot of people don't know what a miracle is. A lot of people don't understand what a miracle is. See, most people think that they have miracles are like some sort of like beam comes down from the sky, or, pumpkins turn into golden carriages, or, all of a sudden, like, $1 million shows up in your bank account. For me, the miracle was being able to look into another human being's eyes at my most broken period of my life and see God looking right at me and going, "Are you ready, dude?" And me, the miracle is me going, "Yes, I'm ready." See, like, if you're not willing to like accept the miracle, you don't get a miracle, right? Like, you have to be willing to accept the miracle. So every moment from there forward's been just miracle on top of miracle. It's like one miracle proceeding on another. Like, it's just this, it's like when you open a bottle of Perrier or something and it's just effervescence. Like, there's miracles all over the place. Sometimes they are radical, like beams of light, like Owl. Like, Owl is just the grace of God, right? And Dylan G, thank you. Thanks, brother. Always accept the miracle. Yeah, always accept the miracle, man. And it's funny, like, I work with a lot of people, and a lot of people, I more people seem to get it through this medium than I do actually like live. Like, it's weird. And I think it's just because the leap it takes for you to go from watching a dude on YouTube to actually calling him and being like, "I need help." Like, there's something fantastic about that. And I've found, working with a lot of people, they don't see the miracle right in front of them because they're jaded. Like, and maybe that's what it is about being broken enough to truly like be willing to turn to God, right? And maybe that's part of the gig. Maybe people aren't broken enough sometimes and I think the hardest part is, as a person who truly cares, is to let people fall. And what I mean by that is if you would come to try to, if I knew I didn't want to be how I was for a long time, but I would have never understood the miracle if I didn't have anything left to see but the miracle. You get what I'm saying? Like, there was no mistaking the miracle. Like when God was shining through Joe Shaughnessy's eyes into mine, I knew exactly what I was looking at because there was nothing left to look at. Does that make sense? Like, it was very clear what I was looking at. And if I had not accepted the miracle and gotten in the car with these 2 dudes, Owl isn't born. We're not doing this. And so it's a very subtle thing, but it's so bright, man. Like again, is when you really see what God's all about. It is like a blinding light that doesn't hurt your eyes, if that makes any sense. It's so bright, you don't need sunglasses. Like, you're fully like, wow, that's radical. And again, is that's what I say, is like, whatever your problem is, it can have a spiritual solution to it. I've done it with my back. For those of you guys who were here on YouTube, when I couldn't walk and I was in misery, dude, literally like dying a new death, and God sent me Dr. Kim. You saw it when the fire burned down my house and I was able to truly just stay in the game. I was able to stay in the game. Most people crack when that stuff happens. But I think that once you truly understand how much God loves you, you can take life's adversities. Like, yeah, like I don't wish bad things on anyone, but I also understand that, like, and I think that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier today. And it comes off sort of aggressive because I am very aggressive about it. Like, I won't beat around the bush. And plenty of people have called me knows, like I don't sugarcoat it. Like, this is sugarcoating it. Like, because I don't want to get into that space right now because I'm not one-on-one with you, dude. But like, people come to me and like my buddy today on the phone, like, I was just like, you're a victim. I don't have time for this, dude. I'm out, dude. Like, if you don't want to accept the miracle of God and you want to debate it still at this point in 2021, that's on you, dude. And again, he knows better. If you're new here and you're debating whether you want to drink again or smoke drugs again or eat another Oreo cookie again, there's a path forward, dude. And all it really is just admitting defeat. Learn to lose, dude, as my buddy likes to say. So I'm grateful that I figured out how to be defeated, because it's through there I found the victory of God, right? Like, so this is what it is. Like, many people don't understand what the meek shall inherit the earth is, right? The meek shall inherit the earth, right? Isn't that the line? The meek shall inherit the earth. The dude who found the miracle was meek. I had nothing left. I had anger and brokenness. I had no spark, nothing. I was as weak can be, dude. Yeah, I could lift a giant piece of wood over my head and carry it up a giant building with no problem. I was strong physically. Through the defeated, I found the victory of God. Yeah. And I was the meek. I was broken. And most addicts and alcoholics, they are the meek that this book talks, that the Bible talks about. And it's hard to understand that most people don't. It's hard to find. I think it's hard to find God without that meekness. And it's not admit defeat to truly score a victory, man. You know what I mean? So it's real. Like, it's super real. It's super real. All of it. And yet it's all fake too at the same time. That's the rub, dude. That's the rub, man. You can live in your manufactured misery till the very last breath for eternity if you want. Or you can be like, okay, and take some responsibility for yourself and be like, help. Because that's all I could do. I didn't have some like 12-point plan to save my life, dude. Like, no, dude. The only responsibility I could take for myself was to ask God for help. And when God sent me the people, not to look the miracle and turn away from it, right? It's that story again of the dude in the flood, when he's, the flood's coming, the cop's like, there's a flood coming, you want to get a ride out of here? And the guy's like, I'm waiting for God. And then the water starts rising, and the tree and the boat comes by, and they're like, you want a ride that's going to flood, dude? And he's like, no, I'm waiting for God. And then he's up at the top of the tree, and the water's at the top of the tree, and the helicopter comes, and it's like, hey, you want a ride, dude? It's going to flood, you're going to die. And he's like, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. And then he dies and drowns and ends up in heaven. And He's like, God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, I sent a police car, I sent a boat, I sent a helicopter. Like, what's wrong with you, dude? Like, that's it. Is again, a part of the programming is people think that God is some dude with some like whoa, with the robe and stuff. And to me, God is much more magnificent than that, dude. But that's why I don't get into the imagery stuff, dude. Like, I see God as so like when I looked in that dude's eyes, I'll never forget looking in Joe Shaughnessy's eyes and seeing God staring right back at me, just like, do you see me? And me being like, I see you, and God being like, your move. You see me? Yeah, I see you. Your move. Okay. You know what I mean? So, with that said, I'm gonna you guys don't want to share any time or do your own thing. Like, let's see where we go from here, right? I did my lead there for a little extra inning there. What are you guys about? Let's see. What do you mean by God exactly? Can you elaborate? Dude, it's super clear, dude. It's a personal thing. Like, that's why I think that you do yourself a disservice. Look for God inside of yourself, man. They're like, no one can tell you what God is. You'll know, you will know, but keep an open mind, open heart, open soul. And when you find it, you will know, and you will be like, wow. I always used to hear about it, right? Like, you'll know when you're saved. And I would always be like, I want to be saved. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was always like looking for it and stuff. And I always used to hear people say, you'll know when you're saved. Like, it'll be super obvious and clear to you. But what I can tell you from this side of the thing, it wasn't some mere finger snap. It was a melt. It was like one of those paintings that just started in black and white and slowly faded to just the brightest colors you can see. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you when I was super clear that God had saved my life. I knew when God showed up that day. I knew when the miracle occurred, and I was willing to accept it. But I can't tell you when I was like fully like born again. I can't tell you when that happened. There's no like moment where I was like, maybe it was that moment that I chose to just see God in Joe's eyes. I was born again. But I can tell you, dude, that like I struggled like any newly sober person. I hold on, wait, I gotta switch the tape. I had someone called. Hold on. Not yet. Plus, I guess that's who asked that there. Brett Williams. The reason I keep it vague about it, especially in this context, like I'll get super specific on other streams about like it more so, but for many people like who are struggling, like trying to define it is unfair. Trying to be like, well, this is God, and you do this, and you read this book, and you're quoting scripture and all that stuff. That wouldn't have helped me. Like newly sober guy didn't need any more than a dude who had God in his eyes shining the light on me. Like, dude, if that dude had hit me with some scripture right then or a bunch of fancy talk about it's this and that, I would have been like, you're creepy, dude. He didn't hit me with anything. He just loved me, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just was willing to give himself to save my life, dude. You know what I mean? So I again, is the book's very clear about that stuff. Is step 3, we made a decision to turn our will and over to the care of God as we understood him, dude. Like, it's it's a collective understanding, but it's also very subtle, dude, because I think what the book's trying to do is baby step you a little bit. Like, look, the hardest part of all is admitting that you need help. Do you need a sermon too? No, that's why it's share your experience, strength, and hope. It's not proselytize, dude. It's not to sit here and hammer you with the big book. It's for me to tell you how, like, about my defeat and my victory and how I got between those two spaces. So if I were to be like, this is what God is, is for me, on that note, is it's a personal relationship with Jesus Christ for me. That's me. But it's the key part is it's a personal thing. Like I don't expect anyone else to have my experience. Like the person who just called me is my dear Muslim friend, man. Like one of the most beautiful people I know, dude. And so his understanding and his relationship with God is totally different than mine, but we communicate under the same understanding of what we're seeking and what we're looking for and what we feel. So for you, I would say it's again, they used to joke in the thing is God can be a group of drunks, dude, right? So it's right on, Rulan. Let's see. Right on, Clyde. How badly do you want it? MJ Mac, Robert. Yeah, brother, that was the second time they played UBC. The first was Philly. Let's see, I was out. They did not get in. Was shut out. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay, you're talking with someone else. I don't know if you can really define in a way that someone with no concept can actually. Greg Fisher, dude. Is that my Greg Fisher, dude? Is that my Greg Fisher? Ah, man, if that's my Greg Fisher, dude, we go way back, dude. What are your interests these days? Raising my son not to be jaded, dude. Like raising a child to be the future. You know what I mean? Showing them that one of the best things you can possibly do is eat food that you grew. Ride a bike, you pedal. Read a book, learn how to read, make your own Lego universe. You know what I mean? Like that's my thing. My thing is being a dad first and foremost. Greg, I love you, brother. How's your boy? Is he still in town? How is he? But just you should give me a call, man. We should talk. I think I got your number. Yeah, the Lego stuff's good. I mean, what are my hobbies? I mean, it's again is I'm still a freedom fighter. I'm still staying in the game. I'm still like one of my hobbies is taking on City Hall, dude. You know what I mean? Keeping City Hall honest, dude. Like I think that's the thing. Yeah, I love you too, Greg. Wow. Yeah, we need to catch up, man. The road's getting thin, man. Getting narrow. It's getting narrow. And life's a trip, man. That's rad you're here, Greg. It really is, dude. It's interesting how it works. You know, what am I into, dude? I'm into living, dude. And I don't know what that means. Sometimes that's just about having a bad day. I think that's one of the gifts I've gotten through sobriety and spirituality is just being able to have a crappy day and not be the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like really just be able to like have a bad day and be like, well, I'm having a bad day, dude. Like, okay. Cause see, they say in the game, right? The two most important days that you have is the day before you got sober and the day you're in, right? Because the day before, you need to always remember the day before you got sober because that was the bottom, right? And the day I'm in, that all the days in between were just gifts that I achieved. But today is my challenge, right? Like there's no guarantees. Like I made that stream last night about Joe Hemeke, man. Like that dude just had a heart attack. Younger than me, dude. Like out, done, game over, dude. So you think you're having a bad day. My buddy Mike Trainin, dude. So Mike Train, yeah, I guess I can mention his name. He's deceased, dude. He's in the newspapers. My buddy Mike Trainin, the sheriff watch commander, a friend of mine, dude. Like the guy had like on paper, dude, you'd be like, dang, dude. But you know, so again, it's we have to truly be willing to have a bad day to truly have a good day, if that makes any sense. Like for me, I'm not afraid of the bad days. I'm afraid of the good days. Like, because the good days I can forget. I can forget where I've been. Like when it's all happening, when everything's aligned and it's all finger popping and glory and yeah, and this is rad. I forget. Like I'll forget where I came from. You know what I mean? I'll forget how desperate I was that night in front of the liquor store when I saw the miracle of God shining through Joe's eyes. Like it's not when it sucks. When it sucks, I know what to do, dude. I get on my knees, I pray. It's this and that. It's when it's really good that I find danger in my life, dude. Yeah, good for you, Charlie, dude. Yeah, Charlie's been around for a long, long time, man. We've had some calls on the thing. I always pray for you, Charlie. You're a good soul, man. It's so yeah, it's you know when you have the affliction or the disease or whatever you want to call it, and I don't have any shame with it. Like I know other people like most days I don't think about it. Like I don't wake up and be like anymore like, oh, I'm an alcoholic. I'm fully aware that I am one, but I go, I have a life-threatening disease, dude, that will kill me, dude. Like I have no doubt about it in my mind that if I were to just go have a couple beers, it's like they might not kill me like on the spot like some arsenic, but it'll surely destroy my life enough where I'll just, it's game over. You know what I mean? And so yeah, it's the good days. And most addicts and alcoholics will tell you that, because that's when it's like, oh yeah, I got this, dude. That's why you got it. That's why you don't want it to be too extreme, dude. Like you kind of are looking for a gradual up that looks a little bit like this. You just want to keep going up with like little downs like that. You don't want to be doing this. I don't know if that's really that sober, dude. You know what I mean? It's just slowly incrementally in the grace of God. And again, that's a personal understanding, and it's pretty clear. Like having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry the message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all of our affairs, right? That's the ultimate goal. Like the ultimate goal is not to like get a bunch of stuff. The ultimate goal is not to like anything except to have a spiritual experience. And when you do have that spiritual experience, we tried to carry the message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all of our affairs. So again, it's about putting your best effort forward, man, and doing the very best you can to help the next person, man. I that's all I can really like say is like sobriety without trying to help other people achieve sobriety is hollow. I know a lot of people who do that. Look, the people that seem to pull it off are the people that are willing to like stop everything and just be like, I'll help you, dude. Yeah, the fellowship's good, Kevin. It is. And I'll tell you, like, I'm going to just on that note, like, I'm not a culter, dude, but I know it works. I don't know what works about it. I don't know what works about it. Maybe it's being humble enough to not know what works about it. You know what I mean? because I can tell you now, like the meetings, I can stay sober without meetings. I haven't been to a meeting. I've been to 2 meetings during the coof. I was a meeting like 3-4 times a week since, once I had Owl. I was a meeting every day up until having Owl. Then when I had Owl, I would do a meeting, like 3 meetings a week easily. And then the coof happened, and I've been to 2 meetings since. That's why I started doing this, dude, is I have to be of service somehow, right? Like by doing this and putting the message out there and answering the emails and picking up the phone, I am by default doing what it is that is that leg of the triangle, But yeah, so I don't know, dude, that's the commitment. That's why I'm like, dude, I blew it yesterday. Like being accountable, super important in sobriety. Like I struggled last year. Don't get me wrong. From between the last meeting I went to in the beginning of March last year until July was a struggle, dude. Like when you don't know. I remember me and my wife were getting super like bickery at a certain point, and we both looked at each other and been like, you know what? I haven't been to a meeting in forever. And she's like, me too, dude. And we're in big trouble here. And it was almost that realization that like was like, oh, okay, that's what it is, dude. Like, people don't understand like the how important it is to stay in the game, man. Like stay in the game. Like that's what I'll tell you right now is like there's 76 of you here, and you're doing more for me than I could possibly do for you tonight. You know what I mean? Like I don't like, if you know what I'm saying, but if you don't, like me sitting up here and talking about what I just talked about really makes me grateful and really humbles me and truly reminds me how lucky I am to have experienced the miracle of God, and that it just keeps going. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have this hour to be here tonight, I don't know. So whoever was the person who suggested this earlier today, I think on the other live stream, thank you. You saved my life, dude. And that's how it works, dude, is to wrap it up on the final note here, is that's how it works is if you don't ask somebody else for help, they can't help you. And I'm telling you that like in this space, people need to be asked for help, because that gives them the ability to be of service, right? Like if nobody asks you for help, it's hard to be of service like it's easy. You can be of service always. But what I mean is like people want to help more than you would ever think if you're on the other side and you're wondering like, oh, but where a lot of people are is they want help, but they don't want to do the work. Like it's like that's, I think that's the next part of the thing too, is right. Like when you read the 12 steps of the whole thing right here, here are these steps we suggested. We took with program. Wait. It's worth the thing about doing the work, dude. I don't know. Here are the steps we took or suggested as a program of recovery. Look, if you like, the first part is asking for the help, and then God's going to be like, no, you ready to do the work, dude. And it's a challenge, dude. It's a challenge. And so how I always end up these things is Serge, thank you. Appreciate it. So, look, if you're suicidal, especially if you're suicidal, please, dude, please call a number, call a friend, call anybody. Just don't end the game. People need you. You may not know that you're needed, and you'll never know. So unless you ask for help, I'll tell you what, you ask for help and you'll find out that people actually care. People care. People care more than you think, dude. And asking for help. So please, there's suicide prevention numbers, dude, all over the place. So if you're suicidal, please don't let that one slip under the rug, man. Don't deny it. It's okay. It's truly okay to admit that you've you're having these thoughts, and to call and ask for help. And if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict or an overeater or a gambler or whatever, dude, there's help out there too, dude. Get on the computer, type in your city. So I only really know AA, but you can type in your city AA central office, and you'll get a number, and there'll be some person that's there volunteering to answer phones and talk to you. None of us are paid. Anyone on the AA game, we're all volunteers, man. We're all just trying to save our own lives by helping you to save someone else's life. That's the game, dude. We're in the business of saving lives, dude. That's our paycheck, dude. So with that said, man, silence will get you nothing. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, dude. So be kind, be beautiful, ask for help, dude. Brett, thank you for asking your question. And with that said, everyone be kind. God bless you. Have a good evening. We will see you at the next one. Good night, Carooster. It's good to see you. Search and destroy. Peace out.